Hello everyone and welcome to Math 3A Online for the spring 2023. My name is Greg Perkins, I'm the instructor. So let's take a look at the syllabus here. So there's my contact email information. Also I'll have in-person office hours Monday through Thursday, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 10 to 11 a.m. in D253, the main campus. Also, we can meet on Zoom if you want to. Just email me and suggest a time. We can arrange a time to meet on Zoom. So with this being an online class, we're going to be using MyMathLab for the online homework. I'm going to show you more details about MyMathLab towards the end of the video, but let me go over the syllabus first. Also, it's good to have a graphing calculator like a TI-84. Personally, I use the TI-84, and when I make the videos, I also show you how to use the TI-84 in those videos. So on Canvas, I've created a lecture video for each and every section, which I'll show you just in a moment. So please watch the intro video. You're doing that right now. When you go to sign up for MyMathLab, you will need this code. So I'm going to go ahead and copy it right now. So that's the code to get into our actual class for the MyMathLab. And if you skip over to pages 2, 3, and 4, here's the due dates for everything for the whole semester. So participation quizzes, so these are basically a way for us to communicate at least once a week. At the beginning, it's just going to be, did you watch this video? Do you have questions about the class? And then eventually I'll be asking some math questions. And basically, those aren't going to be extremely difficult. It's basically just sort of a check-in to make sure that you and I do have communication at least once a week. So there's the MyMathLab homework. So the homework on MyMathLab is always due on Fridays. And the participation quizzes are every Wednesday. And then on Mondays, it will either be a problem set that's due or an online quiz. So if you go down this list, you'll see Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So instead of taking all of the homework and saying there's a big chunk of homework due on Friday night, I then spread it out through the week. So there's a little bit due on Monday, a little bit on Wednesday, a little bit on Friday. And if you just do little by little, then you can succeed in the class. Okay, so let's go back to page 1. So there's different types of homework. There's the MyMathLab homework. So that's the online homework, which I will show you in detail in a few minutes. There's also MyMathLab quizzes. And again, if you look at the schedule, you'll see like quiz 1 on MyMathLab is actually February 6th, etc. There's the participation quizzes, so those are due every Wednesday. Then there's also problem sets and podcast problems. Now, podcast problems, this is the easiest points you'll ever get in a math class. So basically the podcast problems, and I put these on Canvas, but they look like this. So I basically just created 2 examples from each section, and then I made a video, and to prove that you watched the video, you just write down what I write down. So basically you write down the steps, and if you do that, then you get full credit. Then there's also problem sets. So these problem sets, notice that there's enough space in here that I want you to write your answer. And also it's very important that you show all of the steps. I'm not looking for the answer. I actually grade the steps. So for the first one, you would need to find the slope and then use y equals mx plus b to find the equation of a line. Over here, you need to do algebra and multiply this out and then simplify it. In this one, you use the conjugate to multiply the top and bottom by the conjugate, etc. So it's actually the steps that I'm grading, not just the answer. All right. Now, these things are right here. So the problem sets, this is a link to all of the problem sets. And I would suggest that rather than using this page right here, you just go ahead and download it. So you download it and then you could keep it on the desktop. And I also strongly suggest that you handwrite this. So whether you use something like an iPad or you print it and use, personally, I would print it and just use paper and pencil. And then when you're done, upload your work, create a PDF, and turn it in under assignments. All right, let me go back to the syllabus. I would say, emphasize again for the podcast and problem sets, it's important you show all of your work, all the steps, no late work accepted. You can always check your grade on Canvas. And then, like I said, all of the due dates for the whole semester are right here. So it's good to either print this out and follow along to make sure that you have everything done by the due date. Or what I do is I just keep it on the desktop and then I open and say, hey, what's going to be due this Friday? Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. Now let's take a look at the Canvas page. So there's the syllabus that I was just going over. Here's another copy of those due dates. So I sort of put those all over the place. So hopefully nobody falls behind. And there's lots more. There's the problem sets for the whole semester. Yep, 2023. I just made them up or refreshed them. I do change them every semester. And the podcast problems. So when I open that, you could go to my YouTube page. Let me just show you again real quick. You could go to YouTube, Hartnell College Math, but also what I would do is if you look at down here, there's the direct links to each of the podcasts right here. So you can just click on podcast number 1 and
hello and welcome to the podcast for Math 3A. I'm Greg Perkins.
Okay, so I've experimented with how to make these videos and I found that this is the best way. So you don't see my face, but you are able to see the work as I write it. And then also, that way when I need to use the calculator, I can just put the calculator down and show you how to do that. So those are the podcast problems where you just watch them and write down what I write down to get the credit. Now there's also, if you go back to the modules, there's also examples that I did for the problem sets. So when it comes time for the problem sets, of course, you could ask me, hey, Mr. Perkins, on number 2 of that problem set, I got this far. Here's a picture of my work. Can you see if I did this right or I'm stuck right here? So a lot of people will just send a picture of their work. And that's a great way for me to see what you're doing and then help you out. You can also watch these videos where I do examples that are very similar. Now for each and every section, so we start with section 2.1 because chapter 1 is actually a review of pre-calculus. We need to get going with calculus. So with each section, I have the notes, both as a PDF and then also a video. So I would suggest that you watch the video.
All right, here we go. The first section of calculus.
Ooh, that's sort of loud. And so there's the video of each and every section. You can watch those videos. And then what I did is once I finished making the video, I basically then just scanned those notes. And so you can follow along the notes. So basically once I was finished with the video, that's what the first page looked like. And of course in the video, then I go through each and every step, etc. So you have the notes written out as well as a video for each and every section. Let's see what else there is on this. So I even threw in some extra examples, and basically the extra examples, they come from, I believe it was before COVID. Let's see what the date is on here. I think this was right before COVID, before we did a lot of online stuff. I had already made up these examples. So basically just extra examples. And so rather than just throwing them away, I just keep them in there as extra examples for each and every section. All right, so that's basically all of the notes are there, problem set examples, the podcast links, and then on to chapter 3, the same type of thing with the video lecture, etc. All right, so now let's take a look at MyMathLab. So when you just Google up MyMathLab, then it'll take you they call it MyLab Math because they have MyLab Chemistry, MyLab, etc. MyLab Math or MyMathLab will take you to it. And if you already have an account, you could sign in or register as a student. You do need to get this code right here from the syllabus to make sure that you get put into our class. So let me just copy that. And then register as a student. So you'll need an email address, you'll need that code, and then you'll need a way to pay for it. So you can either go to the bookstore, and they have the access code for sale there. If you have a voucher for the bookstore, that's a good idea. Or you would need to pay for it using a credit card or PayPal or whatever. You can also use it for the first 2 weeks for free. So when you get to this third step and they say pay for it, there's going to be a link that says temporary access. And you could, in fact, I strongly recommend just go ahead and use that. Use it for the first 2 weeks for free. So you can use it, if you use that temporary access, then you could use it for free for 2 weeks. And then after that, they'll ask you to pay for it. Okay, so say, okay, I'm ready. You put that code from the syllabus and then continue. And okay, yeah, see, it says I already have an account, so it's not letting me create a new account. It wants me to sign in my account. So anyway, you would just go ahead and create an account right there. Okay, once you've done that, you'll see the Math 3A for the spring of 2023 right here. So there's the, and with the home page, I personally don't pay much attention to it. So what I do is there's homework. So you go over to homework, and I named all those sections. So when you are back over here and you're looking at section 2.1, whether the video or the notes, so you'll see section 2.1, secant lines and velocity. Now when you go to the homework, section 2.1, secant lines and tangent lines. Okay, basically the same thing. So anyway, they have the name as well as the section number. And then the due dates are over here, which are also on the syllabus. So when you go to do the homework, let me just randomly pick question 3. So a few things to point out here. One is you do have to allow pop-ups. So personally, I use Chrome. So up here, if it was blocked, it would say pop-up blocked. Just click on that, say allow pop-ups from Pearson, because all of their homework questions and everything that they show you, they like to use these little pop-ups. So find the average rate of change. So I did an example like this in the lecture. And one thing that I wanted to show you is, for one, you get 3 attempts. So I'm going to put an answer that's wrong, 56. Check the answer, and they say no, and they even give you a hint of what you're supposed to be doing. Basically, you're finding slope. So you need to find y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Although they're not using x, they're using theta. Okay, so my point with that is you do get 3 attempts. So you get 3 attempts for each question. And also you can go over here to help me solve this. And basically what it's going to do is it's going to, if you look at the problem, it's exactly the same. So what it's going to do is it's going to take you through step by step how to solve that. And this one, it only had those 2 steps. But what you can do is go to print. Not that I'm going to physically print it, but that way it shows you all of the steps on one page. And then you can just read their steps right here rather than having to click that, next step, next step, next step. All right, so Now notice what it just did. After it showed me how to solve that one, it gave me basically the same problem, except it changed the numbers. So basically with the help me solve this, they'll take you through it, and then they'll just change the numbers. Now there's also this get more help. So you can view an example, and that's basically the same as the help me solve this, except they change the numbers on this one. And then once they solve it, then they give you the original problem back again. So those two are basically the same thing. They'll show you the steps, but then they're going to change the numbers. Also on Get More Help, you can ask my instructor. So I strongly recommend you use this if you want me to help you, because like I just showed, they change the problems each time, or they change the numbers in the problems. So if you want me to, and you notice it says 7 and 16, and then you have a question and you say, well, why did they get a 9? And I open it, and mine, instead of saying 7 and 16, says 10 and 14. I'm like, 10 and 14? I don't know how they got a 9. Anyway, use Ask My Instructor, because then it'll send me a copy of the exact thing you were looking at. Type your question in here, and then I can explain it. So there's even more things. They do have the online textbook, which again is going to be a pop-up. So depending on my internet speed, actually it's not too bad today. So they have the textbook, and it is an interactive textbook. So there's going to be places where, yeah, you can click on it, and then basically they did an explanation, and then they've got an example, and then this is just to try it. So this is just practice. So it's, if you get it wrong, it's not going to hurt your grade at all. That's just extra help. So there's, where'd my textbook go? Oh well. Another thing that I wanted to show you is the multimedia library, because what you can do is, rather than just going through the textbook, you could say, all right, I'm working on section 2, and we're doing section 2.1. And what I like is this select all, because when you do that, they show you everything that they've created. So there's the textbook, there's video lectures, there's an animation, there's a PowerPoint, there's example videos that they make. So that example right there is just like on the problem set number 1. Okay, so they have lots and lots of things. Now, if you look at the, we're almost done here. If you look at the syllabus, there is also MyMathLab quizzes. And so those are every 2 to 3 weeks. So here's quiz number 1, which is February 6th. And that's going to be on sections 2.1 through 2.5. And if you go over here to quizzes and tests, okay, I figured out the problem, and that is the due dates. So the first quiz isn't due until February 6th, so it's not open until February 1st. That's why it wasn't showing up. Right now it's January 17th, so it was because of that start date. That's the reason it wasn't showing up, and I had to go in and override that. Anyway, so there's the quizzes. So quiz 1, sections 2.1 through 2.5. Now the quizzes, they're basically the same questions as the homework questions. They just changed the numbers. And when you do the quiz, you actually get 2 attempts. So when you take the quiz and then you finish it and it says, all right, you got 77%. If you're happy with that, you're done. If you will say, hey, I can do better than 77%, then you can retake the quiz. You do need to finish your first take of the quiz. So you would need to finish quiz 1 completely and get your 77%, and then go, hey, I'm not happy with that. I'm going to take it again. And then you can take it again. And whichever one's better, that's the one that it shows me, the better grade. Okay, so that's about it. Please let me know if you have any questions.